When you see a tag team like the Motor City Machine Guns, it's easy to take for granted all their skills in wrestling are probably what they've spent their lives on, and it's likely it's all there is to these two men. After all, to become as good as they are in the ring takes a lot of work and time to hone that kind of ability in the ring. Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley began teaming and quickly became champions for Pro Wrestling 01, and even held the IWGP Junior Tag Team Championships. Their international accolades were just the cherry on top, as they are considered legends of TNA or Impact, as they have been there since the place basically started, and both have held every major championship in the promotion. But there's a lot more to this tag team. Starting in 2008, the two would form a band with friends Adam Tatro, Chris Plum, and fellow TNA wrestling star Petey Williams. Petey is one of the more underrated wrestlers, but he's most known for popularizing and inventing the Canadian Destroyer. Petey's run as being the miniature Scott Steiner is probably another thing he's known for. However, what is probably not expected of the former X Division champion is that he's played instruments for decades. The band would name themselves after a book about an alien spaceship landing during the Crusades and being stormed by knights. During an interview with Slam Wrestling, the bandmates would say, the band was heavily inspired by classic rock like Led Zeppelin and the Rolling Stones, but also had a lot of punk influence like Iggy Pop and the Stooges. The band's sound is distinct, and one that unexpectedly sounds nothing like a band comprised of pro wrestlers and reminds you more of the early 2000s revival garage punk.
Like, people reviewed our album, and I've heard people say, like, oh, they're kind of like, rock, but then this song sounds like grunge, this one sounds like punk, this one sounds like, Rage Against the Machine, this one sounds like Stone Temple Pilots. The best way I can put it, we're kind of like like a garage rock type band. Garage rock. I mean, it's a lot different than if you think of wrestlers that do band, like you think of like Macho Man's rap album, and John Cena and Chris Jericho and stuff like that. Honestly, like if we weren't wrestlers and you didn't know we were wrestlers and you're listening to this music, you'd actually like the music, just because we were all like musicians prior to being wrestlers. It wasn't like we're wrestlers, oh, let's be musicians now. No, it wasn't like that. I've been playing guitar for longer than I've been wrestling. So
you realize there is a stigma.
Oh yeah, that's why. I mean, but you know what? A lot of the people that already bought the album are wrestling fans. Yeah, I know there's a stigma to it, like, oh, they're wrestlers, but you're gonna be surprised.
I've been telling people on this channel to subscribe, and they won't.
Yes?
What can we do about that? Can you help me out? Maybe if you tell them to subscribe, they'll do it.
Threaten them. I'll threaten them for you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. You don't have to do it or you're cursed.
What makes a good musical artist? Well, what makes a good musical artist is something that makes a good pro wrestler. It makes a good entertainer of any kind. It's about that connection with the people, that positive energy you can translate to the crowd, and whether they're having a good time and you're having a good time, everyone's happy, and that's what it's all about.
But the point is that you can't tell somebody what to like, and really, I personally think that a good band covers a lot of ground. They're varied and they're original,
It's all about the music. Led Zeppelin. There's something about a live Led Zeppelin performance that just captivates you while you watch it, especially if you appreciate musical talent and if you ever play guitar or played a musical instrument yourself, you can appreciate the kind of work and the kind of creativeness that goes into what they do, just like the creativeness that you see in the ring each and every week from the Motor City Machine.
or the creativeness in our own band, the High Crusade. I mean, cheap plug, but while we're here, why not?
Why not?
Our album's coming out in a couple months, so feel free to buy it.
As the band was beginning to form and take shape, others like Mickey James and Maria Kanellis were given what seemed to be like punishments for branching out on their own in the WWE. But Alex Shelley said it was the complete opposite in TNA at the time, and that both he and Sabin felt encouraged by TNA to pursue the band, with Dixie Carter being someone with a history in promoting musical acts. This seems why she would be more open to the idea than others, and Shelley would even breach the topic during the previously mentioned Slam Wrestling interview. Alex Shelley gave Dixie a little credit by saying, "We've spoken to her about it in passing, albeit briefly. She's obviously a busy lady, but she's always willing to talk to us, which is comforting and pretty awesome." When asked if their future was in wrestling or music back then, they all had different but similar answers to the question. Alex Shelley would say, "As far as it takes us, and both. I want to wrestle the first match of a TNA house show at an arena in Dallas, and then have to hurry across town to open for the Black Keys at the House of Blues. It'll be great." Chris Sabin went on to say, "Music along with wrestling are two things that I have enjoyed and have inspired me. I love both, and I love participating in both. I'm along for the ride, wherever the path may lead." Petey Williams would say, "Why can't we do both? I know that I would really enjoy a future in music. I just don't want to be typecast as a bunch of wrestlers trying to do music. I was playing guitar and performing in a band long before I was a wrestler. I believe that if you handed somebody our new CD, that they would love it, regardless if we are wrestlers or not." The High Crusade have been a pretty big part of the guy's life since its inception, and has even helped break the ice with other wrestlers who are interested in music. During Kazuchika Okada's time in TNA, it could be said that he was not used in the best way and having trouble fitting in. The Young Bucks and the Motor City Machine Guns embraced Okada, and the Machine Guns specifically bonded with Okada over his lesser-known talent. It turned out the Rainmaker was also a riff maker, and he would go on to play guest guitar on a High Crusade album. Just one more accolade in a very long list for Okada, but quite a feather in the cap of the High Crusade to get the biggest wrestling star in Japan in the band.
さあそして今回一つ音楽バンドということでご紹介いただきたいんですが、まずはちょっといきなりですけれどこちらの、さあ、こちらの CD が欲しいという方はどうしたらいいでしょうか。これかっこいいですね。
これが CD ジャケットなんですけれども、
はい、
で今下に出てますね、
はい、
ここの、アドレスまで問い合わせてください、そうすれば直接ハイクルセイドにつながります、はい、もちろん英語ですので。
そうですね、はいサスケバンドとね対決してほしいですよね、
やってもらいたいですね、夢の共演ねやってもらいたいですね、
はい、今回このエンディングテーマも、このハイクルセイダーズの、
これからですね、ワールドアリー
The High Crusade have released two albums, one in 2010 called It's Not What You Think, and another in 2020 called Main Statement. The debut, It's Not What You Think, was a high-energy offering that sounds like a band that every band in college movies are trying to sound like. The album runs a bit over a half hour, and it's one that I have no problem throwing in for a drive. But a lot happened between this album's release and the release of the second album. TNA had gone through many changes, including the loss of some of the band members, including Shelley. The tag team had all but dissolved due to the injuries, refusing to allow their schedules to line up on all but a few independent dates, and Alex Shelley was basically thinking about retirement and just training others. Petey Williams was more or less in the same boat and rarely getting anywhere near a wrestling ring at this point. When 2020 rolled around, the world was in a different place, and things were so far from the norm, it's hard to even think about that today. It would be during this time that the High Crusade would make its return. The release, Main Statement, was the offering, and it was the catalyst for the band members to push themselves as hard as they ever had, one more time in the studio. And as it turned out, in the ring as well. This album would also be the one to feature guest guitars from Kazuchika Okada. The album released right as the Machine Guns began to make a career resurgence. After years of injuries making it impossible for them to team as timing never matched up, things finally began to get back on track as the 2020s started, and both men would see success not only in their tag team endeavors, but this would be when Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin truly got the respect they had earned all their years in wrestling. Shelley was given a great run at the top of the card in the World Championship scene by defeating everyone from Nick Aldis to Hiroshi Tanahashi. And Chris Sabin would set records with his recapturing of the X Division Championship. During this time, even Okada was enjoying the fame brought by his bouts with Kenny Omega and having a great start to the decade. The odd man out of the group is really Petey. Petey would make a comeback run in Impact and would do well, but he didn't quite get the same reception as the Machine Guns and didn't see much of a resurgence. And that's a shame. Petey is one of the more talented guys you're going to see in the ring, and he never got as much respect as he probably should have. If this video inspires you to do anything, I would hope it would be to throw on a High Crusade song and see if it's for you, and why not throw on some Petey Williams matches while you're at it as well. The guy was so underrated, and with all the destroyers you see today, isn't it worth seeing the original? It's safe to say the Machine Guns would go down as one of the greatest tag teams of all time, but hopefully this video will go a little way to make sure that the High Crusade doesn't become a forgotten footnote of such a great group of wrestlers and musicians.
If you'd like to see us do even more crazy stuff, we're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers on this channel, so click that subscribe button. You could also watch another one of my videos to show up right there, and subscribe to my channel. My channel is over here, and I do a lot of cool, crazy stuff over there as well. I'm a wrestling journalist. I talk about wrestling. So if you like wrestling, weird stuff, then subscribe and check out that video. It's pretty good. It's a good video.